Hey y'all, Pink Lady here. Welcome to the first episode of my brand new podcast, Bet on Yourself, Sis, a podcast for and by Black women entrepreneurs. And in this first episode, I am interviewing Tish Baldez. She is a management consultant to corporations, and she's been doing that for over 20 years. She is also a leader at P31 Consulting and Academy. She's a business coach, a speaker, a professional facilitator, and trainer. And she works with global corporations and clients. So in this episode, we talk about her journey into management, consulting, and entrepreneurship. She shares some challenges she faced and the lessons that she learned. We talk about prioritizing family over work, right? And how to balance that. We have a great conversation about confidence versus ego in entrepreneurship. We talk about learning and growing through collaboration and the importance of being a lifelong learner. And we talk about having gratitude and acknowledging the people that you're grateful for. This was an amazing, amazing first episode, and I'm so glad that you're joining us. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Bet on yourself, sis. Bet on yourself, sis. You've got the goal, confidence and style. Let your power show.
So, Tish, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, the very brand new podcast that we are creating. You have been doing management consulting to corporations for 20 plus years. Please tell us all about that, how you got started, and the journey to where you are now.
Sure, I would love to. And I would say my story in terms of how I got here might sound very similar to some other people's, but who I am and what I can offer and how I service people is uniquely me. It's uniquely Tish. It's uniquely Tish and Wendy. It's uniquely P31, our company. And so I want to talk about that too, because I think that's important because sometimes we hear people's stories and we start to listen and we're like, yeah. No. The end of my story is not the end of your story. The end of my story is not the one you read in that book over there or the one you listened to on that other podcast or when you read that article in the magazine. No. It's a different story. So while it might sound like it starts the same, the journey is not the same. It doesn't end the same. In fact, I'm not done. I'm still moving along. So I started off in the pharmaceutical industry. So right out of college, right out of university, I went straight into working for one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world called Merck. And I worked for them and a number of other pharmaceutical companies, life sciences companies, and I did the typical management track, right? So I started in sales and then I did a position what is now referred to as medical science liaison and MSL. I went inside and I did some internal positions because that was typically the track you had to take for management. And when I retired myself out of the industry, I was a regional sales director for the company that I was working for. And I had an opportunity to take a package. I didn't have to take the package. But at the time, my youngest child was 1 year old, and he was the youngest of my three sons. And I thought, what an opportunity for me to spend some more time at home with them. As much as I enjoyed working, I enjoy momming so much more, and I wanted to spend more time at home. And what happened is I came out, I took the package, I was at home minding my own business. And a friend of mine who I used to actually, she was a friend slash colleague. I used to hire her services into our company. She approached me and said, "Did I hear you left? Are you on your own? What about working with me?" And that was the beginning of my consulting career because she had a company that did training consulting and I had always hired her in to do our training for us. I had had some background in training and I had done some certifications so that I could do this management track. And I started working with her and I really enjoyed it. And then one day I feel like she fired me because she called me and said, "I don't think I can expose you to all that you can bring to companies." And I said, "What, are you firing me?
Hmm.
Like, what are you doing here?" She said, "No, I just don't think you're going to enjoy this long term." And I think you have so much more to offer. I think you need to take yourself out there and offer your services to companies and see if they'll buy what you have. And I think they will. She was right. And I have to thank her. Her name is Tasha Zurich. I have to thank her for coaching me and encouraging me to do that. Because at the time, I didn't know what consulting was. I didn't know what management consulting was. I had to learn and figure it out and meet some management consultants to understand that that's what I was actually doing. And then I started working with groups of management consultants who trained me and taught me and coached me and made sure that I learned how to do it really well. And that was the beginning of my career. And I would just jump fast forward 20 years. What happened in those 20 years it was really simple. My clients molded me into what I am today.
Mm.
They would come to me and say, "Can you do this?" And I would say, "Oh, well, I don't really do that." And they'd say, "You can do this." They did. They would say, "You can do
Wow.
this, and I trust you to do it." I would say, "You know what? I think there are a lot of other consultants out there that can do that for you." They'd say, "No, I want you to do it for me." And I would say, "Ah, okay, but I'm telling you, I've never done this." And they'd say, "Oh, stop saying that. You can do it." I had more clients than I can count
Mm.
call me because they knew me, they liked me, and they trusted me. And they trusted me to do anything for them, even things that I wasn't on paper qualified to do. But what they did is they did two things for me. They gave me a chance to learn how to do it
Mm.
over and over and over again so I could become an expert at it. Um, and they gave me exposure and paid me while I was learning to be exposed. And they were okay with that. They knew that that's what they were doing. So, what has happened over time is my sister came in partnership with me. She left her corporate position about 5 years after I did and joined me. We formed P31 Consulting, which is the umbrella of our company. We have another division called P31 Academy. She joined, and then another person joined. His name is Mike Shank, and the three of us built this little mini empire we have. It's mini,
Mm.
but it's ours. And we built it together. And it became what it is today, which we started pulling together a consortium of experts from around the world that are master facilitators, they're master trainers. They know how to coach and get people to results, not coach for behavior changes, but to actual results.
Mm.
And we started working together to build this. And I think some people would, if they think about me, they'll say, "Oh, she's the person who did my training." Other people think about me and say, "Oh, she's the person who did my coaching. She coached me to win this business." Other people might say, "Oh, she's the one we hired to run that division of our company while that seat was vacant because we needed to fill it and we just needed her to sit in that seat until we came." And then you have other people who might say, "Oh, she's a management consultant we hired years ago." You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've had exposure to so many different things over the years that it depends on who you talk to, how people would define my journey and how
Yeah.
they see my journey versus what my journey actually has been.
Yeah. Wow, because it seems like it's morphed a lot of different times into so many different things. And I think it's really beautiful that you got the chance to explore all these different things like you said you didn't know how to do, but you got the space to figure it out and, still keep that same job, like to figure it out in that job and to figure it out for that client. That is so cool. Like I think that's a really beautiful thing. Can you talk a little bit about like the challenges you faced? Because I know it wasn't that
No,
easy. It sounds like, oh yeah, my clients just did this for me and I just kind of skated through it. Like, no, we know it wasn't that easy.
thank
So
you, Jasmine.
please.
There were many nights where I was like, "Oh, do I want to do this tomorrow? I don't
Mhm,
know if I
mhm,
want to do this." No, you were so right. I don't. I think it was not always easy, but it's been beautiful and rewarding, and I've loved every
mm,
moment of it.
mhm,
I'm one of the few people probably in the world. I get up every morning and I thank the Lord and say, "I love what I do."
mm.
I can't. People have to tell me to stop working.
Yeah,
I'm I'm not kidding.
yeah.
In fact, I was visiting my sister and my brother-in-law in Philadelphia about a week or so ago, and I worked from their house every day while they went to work. And every day when my brother-in-law went to work, I was sitting at the dining room table. Every day when he came home, I was there. By the time he went to bed, I was still sitting there. And so after 4 or 5 days of this, he looked at me and said, Tish, how many hours a day would you say you work? I
Mhm.
thought, as many as I feel like it, because I love what I do. It really is that. And I think for me, you have to love what you do
Mm.
in order to press through those challenging moments. The most challenging came when we disappointed a client.
Mm.
That's the most challenging moments I've ever had.
Yeah.
When a client came back and said, "Hmm, not so sure that's what we were hoping to get from you." That's like the worst feeling. You feel it in your body,
Mhm.
you feel it in your mind, you feel it in your heart. But that feeling you get in your body of disappointing someone to the point where you know it's your reputation at risk. It's just something
Yeah.
about this is all completely me. If I disappoint my kids, I know they're going to love me anyway. If I disappoint my sister, she's going to love me,
Mhm.
right? You disappoint a client, we might not eat.
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur. I might not
Yeah.
eat because if that client never gets resolved and satisfied or mollified, they're going to tell someone else.
Yep.
And then they're going to say, well, I heard you shouldn't really work with Tish because, right?
Yep.
I think those were the hardest moments. And that's where I learned how to build relationship, how to communicate better. Learned to communicate better over time because it was in those painful moments. And entrepreneurs, if anybody is listening to your podcast who's an entrepreneur, we will have those moments. But the entrepreneurs who are most successful, they don't even slow us down. I heard someone said last year, and I love this. Um, one person said one part, and another person said the second part. He said, "Disruption always follows intention." That's what the
Mm.
first person says, right?
Mm.
We have intention. We're going to get this done. Disruption always follows our intention. Something always crumbles in front of us
Yep.
and gets in between us and
Oh,
that
that's
goal
so
we have,
true.
right?
So
And then
true.
the other person stood up. I was in a coaching mastermind. The other person stood up and added to that. And he said, but don't let the disruptions become distractions, right?
Yes. Oh my.
Right.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I remember I
Mm.
left there thinking, I didn't say those words the last 20 years, but I lived those words the last 20 years. I didn't, I didn't, I wasn't the person that pulled it all together and made it go, oh, wow. I wasn't the one who stood up and made everybody in the room go, wow. You could hear a sigh. Whoa. But I lived it. And that is, I think, one of the magic, I don't like the word magic, but one of the principles that success and entrepreneurship is all about. Know that disruption will always follow your intention, but forget about it. Don't let it become a distraction. Deal with it, address it, learn from it, become smarter, better, more efficient as a result of it, become a master at whatever that was you fell down on. Do those things, but don't let it become a distraction. And I think that is what I discovered over the course of my career. I just didn't know those were the words I was discovering. It was like, people would say, pick yourself up and keep going, all those kind of things. And I would say, yes. When I was challenged by those things, I picked myself up. But because I major in facilitating learning and helping people become smarter, better, faster, more efficient, I turned everything into a lesson about skill development. So to me, it was like, oh, wait, wait, wait. I messed up with the client. That means I didn't listen well. I didn't listen for the right things. So, how can I break this down into a lesson on listening skills? Maybe I communicated in a way that we had a disconnect. I was saying this and they were hearing this. That's still on me. I had to learn, how do I communicate in a way that the person I'm communicating with hears my intention, not just my words, right? So I had to to me, I turn everything into a lesson that I can teach to someone else. So every time I had those painful moments, and I did have one where I actually called the client and said, I won't work with you anymore because this person in your company is unethical. They lie, they cheat, they steal, and they're putting my name in their mouth. And I will not allow my reputation to be maligned because of a person who's dishonest. And I actually called and said, I would like to cancel my contract. You don't have to pay me the cancellation fee. I'm walking away from this. What I didn't know was the same day, another consultant had called them and said the same thing because of the same person's interaction with the same. And we didn't know. We discovered this days later. But I share that to say sometimes things go wrong and we can learn from them and we can readjust. And we should. If we're blaming our clients and blaming our customers, we're doing it wrong. If you ever hear yourself sitting around having conversations about what they did wrong, you're having the wrong conversation because that's not going to help you. And I think what I did in that situation is I had concluded I just wasn't willing to work with an unethical person. And I think I had a right to make that decision. Hearing several days later that another consultant made the same ethical decision was great. But what is even better, they said, please hold on and don't cancel your contract. And I didn't know they had said that to him too. And they fired her a few days later. And they said, you two were not the only two that we'd heard this from. And though, so to answer your question about the challenges, sometimes the challenges make you smarter. They make you more irresistible to your clients and customers because you're doing things with such a level of mastery they can't imagine not working with you. Sometimes the challenges teach you when to walk away, when it's time to say, this is not for me. And wisdom helps you learn how to balance those two. Because sometimes we walk away when we should not have walked away. We miss the opportunity to learn and grow and be better and smarter and to make ourselves stand out more. But we walked away, right? Other times we stayed too long. We shouldn't have stayed in that business relationship. We shouldn't have tolerated behaviors that we didn't like, or maybe honestly, Jasmine, for me, it's sometimes it's just not a good fit. I'm smart. I'm good at what I do. I'm a master at what I do. They're smart. They're a master at what they do, and they need me, and I think I can bring something to them. But I often conclude it's not a good fit. And when it's not a good fit, I just say, I don't think I'm the right partner for you. Let me see if I can help find someone who might be. And it's not about, can I do it? Can we work together? We could get it done. But if I won't enjoy it, it won't be a good experience for me or for them.
Mm,
Why? So those
mhm.
are some of the things I've learned. Did I answer your
Oh my
question?
gosh, you did in such an
Okay.
amazing way. I love so much of what you said. We're gonna definitely hop back into a lot of things. So one thing I want to talk about definitely is integrity, right? Like you have to have and no, you don't have to have integrity because a lot of people are out here moving with zero integrity,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But oh, I love how you said like, this person is not moving with integrity at all and I will not be a part of it, and sometimes that that happens and it is time to go. But the beautiful thing for you is like you thought it was time to go because of that person,
yeah.
but it wasn't. It was just maybe time to pivot, or time for your client to do something, to make a move,
Yeah,
right? Like the ball's in your court. It was their turn, right? You did what you needed to do, and then you still got to work with that client, and I'm sure it was a beautiful experience. So that Oh, I love that. It also reminds me of just like having very strong boundaries, right? As an entrepreneur,
yeah,
it's so easy to, especially when you love what you do. I love what I do. Okay. I definitely love podcasting. I love that I can work from anywhere. Like I love my job. Even I have a part-time job that I'm really falling in love with. Like I really love what I do right now. And it's so easy for me to work all day. Like I could work all day and my partner be like, okay, like you gonna stop working now anytime soon? Like, so having strong boundaries, and not getting actually that is something that I definitely want to talk to you about, because you're a mom,
yeah,
you love what you do, so you can work all day
yes.
on it. How do you not get burnt out? how do you create these boundaries, to spend more time with your children, and to have a life outside of the work you do, but also, you love what you do. So it's like hard to tear yourself away sometimes, right? So talk more about that, please.
Well, my children are now all adults, so they're grown and away from home. But I will tell you, I had a rule when they were younger, when they were growing up. I only worked 100 days a year. As an entrepreneur, you can work on 100 days a year. You can. You can decide you're not going to work more than 100 days a year, and you can make several $100,000 a year. You can. You need to know the value you bring. You need to know how to sell that value, because we don't know how to sell our value. What we know is how to sell what we do, sell our stuff, right? You need to know how to sell it. You need to know what the an equivalent price for the value is. I don't even call it price. I call it their investment. You need to put that together. And once you've got that right, and it took me years of discovering how to get that right. In fact, there's no reason for new entrepreneurs to figure this out. Anybody that within a few months doesn't know what their value is and what the investment should be from their customers and clients, you're spending way too much time, because there's too many of us out here who've already figured out how to do it. Right. So having said that, once I got that right, and it didn't take me it took me a few years because I didn't have the coaching and the help. Once I got it right, I decided I love my kids more than I love my career. And so I want more days with them than I want with my work, but I want to love my job. And that's when I came up with the 100 days. I knew in 100 days, at the beginning of each year, I needed 100 days and I'd be good. I could maintain our lifestyle, all that kind of thing. And I stuck to it. I didn't deviate from it. So most of their lives, I worked 100 days a year, which means I was on the school board. It means I was a classroom mom. It means I went on every class trip. It means all three of my sons played basketball. I told you I'm 6 feet tall and they're taller. It means I didn't miss a basketball game in elementary school, middle school, or high school. Maybe an occasional game, but not too many. It means because I made them a priority. And when I was there at the school, I was there. Never brought my laptop, never brought my computer, never brought my work, never taught. My sister also had children at the same school. We never talked about work while we were there. Because while we were there, that was our family time. That was the school time. That was my time to get to know the other parents and develop relationships with them. But you do it by committing to it and working toward making those 100 days or whatever your number is, monetize them to the level you need or you desire for the lifestyle that you want. And some people might say, well, you don't understand because I don't sell training or coaching, business coaching like you did. I can't, what I sell is not worth that much. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You just haven't had somebody sit down with you and help you figure out what the value is, right? You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
And I think that's how I made that work. But I got to tell you a quick story about how
Yes.
much I made it work.
Yes. Give me.
So yes, my second son, his name is Micah. He was going on his prom, and I had accidentally booked myself to work for 2 weeks in Belgium because I work internationally. And before COVID, I traveled a lot outside of the country, more than inside the country. And I accidentally booked myself during his prom. And I was always committed to be there for their proms, for everything. So what I did was I was teaching a class in Belgium that ended at noon on Friday. His prom was that night, but noon in Belgium, right, is morning in the United States. So I asked my co-facilitator if I could jump out at 11 a.m. if he would finish the class for me. I got on the first plane back to the United States. I got to the house before he left for the prom. I was home by 5 p.m. that same Friday. I got to see him go off. I got to take all the pictures. I got to do all that stuff. And I got back on the plane the next morning,
To go right.
Saturday morning, and flew back to Belgium. And I share that because that's what my commitment was, right? If I made a mistake, I was going to find someone else to cover that for me, or I was going to get on a plane. I didn't care what the cost was. I didn't care if I had to go in debt. I didn't care if I had to open another credit card to pay for that last minute ticket to get my
Yeah.
stuff back home. I didn't care, because what mattered to me was being with my son. And he may not have cared if I saw him off on his, I don't even know. I need to ask him about that. But he has told me he never forgot that I did that, right? But I think it's learning to love both. And if you love your family or something else, maybe some people love serving their community, which I do too. And some people might love working in their church or love spending time with their family, whatever they love, as long as you can get the right balance between the two, you'll always know when to prioritize which part. And I never prioritize work over my kids. So if I saw, let's say they had 30 basketball games in a basketball season when they were in college, I think if I made 28 of the 30, I did my job.
Absolutely.
I don't think I'm not going to kick myself for missing 2 games that I probably watched online from China, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going to kick myself for that. And I think that's what we need to learn how to do. But it's about choosing how much time we put into what we're doing.
Yeah, my mom was definitely the mom who was PTA president. I was a cheerleader, so she was cheer mom. I went to a performing arts school and I was a drama major, so she was drama mama. My mom was completely involved in everything that I did. And I did not appreciate it then, did not. I'm like, "Mom, go away, do something else, like, please leave me alone," right? But as an adult, I never felt unloved, like, I always felt like my mom was always gonna be there for me no matter what.
Mm,
So I can imagine your son's having a similar feeling of like, "Oh, mom got my back, she gonna be there no matter what," like, for the important things, right?
yeah.
That's what matters.
And I hope
Um
they listen to your podcast. And
Yes.
so G, Micah, and Noah, did you hear what Jasmine just
Your mom is amazing.
said?
Okay, so make sure you appreciate her. Okay.
I didn't say it, Jasmine did. Make sure you appreciate me. No, I have a
That's
good
right.
relationship with them, but they may, like, as you reflected back, I really appreciate what you said. Like, at the time, you were like, "Oh, mom, go
Yeah.
away. You're always here."
Yeah.
And they may have felt that way, but now that they're adults, they might reflect back and feel differently about it,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because when you're a teenager, that's the last thing you. Well, maybe not for everybody, but for me, it was just like, Mom, you don't need to be involved in everything. That that's just how I felt. Like I would like some time to myself. Like I'm trying to do this thing so that I can have something for myself. And here you go again, up in everything that I do. But no, again, as an adult, I totally like. Oh, my mom had my back. Like that's what it was.
Yes,
She wanted to be involved in. I can't say that about all of my friends,
right.
like there were friends that I
Yeah,
never met their parents or I never saw their parents at events, and I can't
yeah,
imagine how that would feel because I know my mom was always going to be there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
absolutely appreciate it now. And look, my mom is calling me as we speak.
That's because
But
she's
it's okay.
still a good mom. She's
She
still a
feels me
great
talking about
mom.
her. She's just like, huh? You talking about me? What's going on? But I'll call her back later. Tish, this has been an amazing conversation, but I really want to get into why consulting for corporations
Yeah,
would be an amazing thing for women of color. Because that is really who this podcast is for, women of color,
right,
entrepreneurs. So
right.
please, let's get into that. Like, what are some of the benefits of what you do, and why should women of color even want to do it?
Yeah, I understand. I think my quick answer, my heart answer is that we are some of the smartest, most experienced,
Mm,
extraordinary people in the industry, whatever
mm,
industry you're in, IT, data science, life sciences, packaged goods. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. We just don't have the hundreds of years of history of people being successful and knowing how to navigate those things even before there were corporations. There was a mindset, there was a mentality, there was a way people were raised, that people who didn't look like us, or maybe I look like some of them, but I'm not mixed.
mm.
This is just 200 years worth of stuff that happened, right?
Mhm.
That's
I love the way you said that. Mhm.
that's what that's why I look this way, right? And I think we are extraordinary at what we do.
Yes.
there used to be sort of a saying that we had to work twice as hard, 10 times as hard to get recognized. The reality is we did. We absolutely did. Now, having said that, we don't have to do that in 2025. What we need to know is who we are, and what I like to call is what is unique to me. What is unique to you, Jasmine? Because I meet people sometimes and they'll say, well, a lot of people do what I do. And I'll go, no, 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 time out, time out. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. That's a mindset shift. We need to work on your mindset. Nobody does what you do in the way that you do it, based on the experience that you have, based on the education that you have, life education and formal education. No one has been exposed to what you've been exposed to in the way you've been exposed to it. To put this little package together, it's like making a cake. Everybody's pound cake or 7-Up cake is not the same, right? They might all be good, but they're not the same, right? And I think why corporate America needs us is because we're incubators of extraordinary experiences and knowledge. And we incubate it instead of sharing it. We talk about what we have that they don't see, when what we should be doing is showing them what we have that they don't see, right? Don't incubate, don't incubate. And that's why I think more women of color should be, I'm going to use this phrase very loosely, selling their services to corporations and other companies. I don't like the term selling. What I coach corporations on is how to sell your $5 million, $10 million, $50 million deal to another corporation. That's what I do for the corporations. With entrepreneurs, I say it doesn't matter whether you're selling 5,000 or 10,000 or 15,000. If you don't know what is unique about you, and I call it what distinguishes you versus differentiates you. And can I explain what I mean by that?
Yes, please.
I will often ask people, like I might call you Jasmine and say, help me understand what distinguishes you from everybody else who your potential customers could consider. Usually people will respond to me by saying, what differentiates me is, and I'll think, wait, I didn't ask you what differentiates you. And here's why there's a clear difference between the two. The word differentiate by definition means there's a comparator, right? So that's a very corporate term. Let's differentiate. How do we differentiate ourselves? That means we're going to look at competitors or potential competitors, and we're going to talk about how we stand out above or different from them. Distinguish is not about comparison. Think about the phrase at a university, a distinguished professor. They're not distinguished because anyone compared them to anyone else. They are distinguished because they do something no one else does. It's not comparable. It's not comparable. That's why they're distinguished. And when I coach people, I say we are working to first identify what distinguishes you from in the mind of the client. So here's what I want their clients and customers to say in consulting or whatever they're selling their services. When I think of Jasmine, why should I choose her and not even consider anybody else? And their answer should be, well, there is nobody like Jasmine. No one actually does what Jasmine does. And Jasmine does what I need. Jasmine provides the services I need. Jasmine does it in a way and creates an experience for me that only I get when I have conversations with her. That's distinguishing. Differentiation is Charmin toilet paper versus, whatever the other ones are. I don't know. I like Charmin. Scott.
Angel Soft.
Angel Soft. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's differentiation.
Yeah.
We all do the same thing. And it just matters. Do you want soft? Do you want paper-like? Do you want hard? Do you want thin? Do you want thicker? But we're going to all do the same thing. That's not distinguishing. That's differentiating. I don't want anyone to differentiate me. In fact, when I submit proposals to corporations, sometimes they'll come back and say, well, this other company said they could do this. And I'll often say, wait a second. Perhaps I misunderstood your ask because it sounds like they're proposing oranges and I heard you ask for apples. So I proposed apples. You can't compare apples to oranges. Now, if you want me to repropose to you, first help me understand what type of orange you want. I don't know what kind of orange you want because you need the right orange for your situation. And do you see what I'm saying? This is what we miss, but we as a group of women of color are extraordinary. We just don't know we have all of this to unpack. And some of us who do know don't know how to unpack it or unpack it and it sounds like a description of a list of things that they can do for you instead of how you can make that person's life extraordinary, their business extraordinary. You know, how you can make any things that they're thinking, spinning about at work and making decisions about, you can make all those things go away from them. They don't want you to deliver something to them. They want you to remove problems from them. They want you to help them realize opportunities. And if you don't know how to use that language, you can't do it, but we can. We have so much to give. And like I said, we're incubating and we shouldn't be incubating it. We should be giving birth all over the planet. My company is global. Wendy and I work globally. We have somebody who runs our Latin American business, somebody who runs our Canadian business, someone who runs our business in Europe and the UK and the Middle East. Why can't we all do this? I don't have any competition. I have none. So I'll help anybody. I will coach anybody who wants some help. Do you do training? I'll help you sell your training because your training is not my training. The way you do it won't be the way I do it. And we're going to help you find out how to express what you do so that when people hear what you do, they go, wow, that's what I want. I want some of that. That's a long answer, but I think it's my passion. Can you tell I'm passionate about it?
Oh my gosh. I've had so many like mindset shift moments or like light bulb moments, and it's just like the way you word things is oof, I need to hear you speak. I love it because you're so right. We first of all, you're right. We're amazing. We are the shiznit, okay?
Totally
And we
amazing.
are just talking about it amongst ourselves instead of like you
Yeah,
said, birthing it all over.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, I love how you said that.
yeah.
Hey y'all, Pink Lady here. I'm a podcast producer, director, coach, and host. And I want to tell you all about my production company, Pink Lady Productions. We collaborate with creatives like you who are driven to share your message by launching your podcast from A to Z and coaching you through the process. To learn more about our services, check out our website at pinkladyprod.com. That's PINKLADYPROD.com.
I want to talk to you about like a lot of entrepreneurs, we have ego, right? Like that's a lot of the reason why we do this job, right? Because we feel like we are the people that are supposed to
Yeah.
be doing this job, right? We're the right one for the job, right? But when I hear you speak, like I don't hear ego at all. I hear like I have no competition, but it's
Yeah.
because I want to help you get to where I am,
Yeah.
and that's not something that we hear. Me personally, that's not something that I hear all the time. That's not something I feel like that is something that is so needed, but it's not, it doesn't come from everywhere. It doesn't come from everyone, right? So please talk to me about how you, I guess, different, you keep your ego. I don't know where your ego is. I don't see it, but I'm sure I know it's there, but I don't
It
see it.
comes up. It
So
comes up sometimes.
talk about that.
I think I mean it I have gone through periods in my career where I was arrogant. I would use that
Mm,
word. Um, I also started losing a lot of business in my arrogance,
mm.
right? Not a lot. It's not fair. My sister would be like, "What are you talking about? You have like a 95% win rate. What do you mean?" No, I lost business that I wanted because I was arrogant. I think when you talk about ego, I think of it as more what we need is confidence. But the question is, what do we need to be confident in? I need to be confident in what I know I can do that's unique to me that no one can get anywhere else. And I think what you hear from me is confidence in what I know I can bring. Um, I think where arrogance and ego kick in is when I'm comparing myself to others, but I don't have competition. If someone chooses to go to another coach, it's because they feel that was the better coach for them based on where they are in developing their business, right? It's not me or them. What they're deciding, what they should be deciding is who would be the best coach for me based on where I am in my career. My corporate clients should be deciding, can P31, our company, can P31 provide the performance outcomes through our people that we need based on the solution they're providing? That's the only decision I ever want them making. I never want them comparing me to someone else. I don't talk about the competition. I don't focus on the competition, and I don't differentiate myself from the competition. I focus on my client, my prospect. I focus on them and what they need and what they bring. And when you do that, it's not about you. And then there's no ego or arrogance, but we do have to show up confident. But just as we have to be confident to say, confident, yes, we are the right, I think I'm the right one for you. If I'm going to say that, I have to be just as confident to say, based on what I've heard and based on what I understand of what your needs are and the outcomes you're looking for in your business, I don't think I'm the right choice for you. And let's talk about why I don't think I'm the right choice. Let's see if we can find somebody that is. If you're truly confident and there's no ego, right, and arrogance involved, you know how to make those pivots and make those changes because it's all about serving. I want to serve the people that I can help. And if they feel they have another option, go for it. Now, I will also say, sometime if I haven't helped them to see that I am the right choice for them and I believe confidently that I am, well, that might just mean because I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to help people see that I'm the right choice for them. That means I need skill development. I need to learn how to do that. It doesn't mean I wasn't the right choice. It means I didn't know how to help them see it. And that's different, but it's still about confidence. And why not? We're amazing. Why not be confident? You know why? Everything I know, I learned. What is there for me to be arrogant about? I didn't I didn't come up with it on my own. I learned from you. I'm learning from you in this conversation. I learned from teachers. I learned from instructors. I learned through life experiences. I learned by watching other people be successful and make mistakes. I learned listening to podcasts. I learned reading books. I learned Googling things. I'm learning from Chat GPT.
Yep.
Everything I know and know how to do, I learned, which means I have no right to be arrogant. Arrogant about what? Everything I know, I learned. And maybe that's what you're hearing. I'm that humility is because I know I am so indebted to so many people
Yeah.
who were there for me and taught me, took my hand, guided me. I, I couldn't have done it without them. I didn't do this alone. I did it with through through the coaching and guidance and friendship of more people than I can count. I wouldn't even be able to name them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this has been this has been so good. I love you have humility, absolutely. You're very humble and I love having conversations with people who are you just said it, right? Like everything you learned from other people or from something, right? Like it
Mhm.
wasn't just, in you and you didn't just like come out, yeah, I know all the answers, right? Like that's not a
No,
real
it's like a
thing.
puzzle. It's like a puzzle, right?
Yes,
People gave
yes.
me people gave me different pieces. Now, it was my job to figure out how to put it together for me.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of a stave puzzle? Stave.
No.
I like puzzles. I don't even know if stave still exists, but they did 10 years ago. Stave makes wooden puzzles, handcrafted wooden puzzles that have multiple solutions, but but
Oh
only one
no.
only one is right.
Oh no. Why have I never I love puzzles too, so I don't know why I've
So
never heard of that. I'm about
the
how do you
piece
spell it again? Say this S-T.
Stave. It's named after the founders, Steve and Dave, Stave. And that's the way I see my
Oh.
life and my career, is that everybody gave me pieces to a puzzle and said they all fit. How do you want to put it together
Mm.
so that you form the picture that makes sense for you?
Mm-hmm.
There's no right. Now, Stave would say there's one right solution.
Right.
But the beauty about life is we can take all those pieces, but if we don't put the puzzle together, we don't accomplish anything. The only thing I can take credit for is not laying around and doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I took the learning and experiences and the coaching and the exposure and I put it together to create a beautiful puzzle for my life, which is why my puzzle, my picture is not like anybody else's. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. That so I love analogies in like metaphors. That was perfect. That was so good. I'm letting you know now, Tish, that I'm gonna steal that from you. I'm gonna use it because
Use
it's
it
just
over and
so
over
good.
again.
I
Just
will definitely use
get a
it.
big puzzle if you can.
I wrote it down. I'm gonna look it up as soon as
I
this
hope
call
they
is off
still exist because
because that
it,
sounds so cool. Like
it is.
that's definitely something I want to do. My cousin and I used to do like the 3D puzzles, like
Yes,
they're,
me too.
Big Ben or used to love those things. And I
Yeah,
haven't seen those in
I haven't seen
I don't
them.
know, a long time.
Mm-mm. I like
So,
them too. I like them too.
yes.
The last 3D puzzle I did was the Starship Enterprise,
Oh my
and
gosh.
that was probably like 15 years ago or more.
Wow.
But
See,
that
now
was fun.
Lego does all of those things. They have like the
Yeah.
Big Ben and all of those things, but I'm not really good with Lego, so that's a whole nother thing for me. But I'm gonna look up the stave puzzles. I'm so interested. Like
Yeah.
I need to get one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so definitely want to talk about advice. You've given a lot of gems and a lot of advice over, this whole call, but any specific advice for women of color entrepreneurs? Um, go.
Yeah, I would like to say something very typical like just do it, but don't I'm not going to say that. You know what I mean? It's like it's been said before. What I would say is absolutely do not do this alone.
Mm.
One of the advantages that I had was having my sister and Mike Shank, who came on very early in my careers. We could not have done this without each other. And when we coach people now, we coach solopreneurs. And one of the things, in fact, one of the people that we were just coaching in the last couple of weeks said, I look so forward to my weekly calls with you because I need someone to talk this out with and think it through with. And I would say that my advice is do not do it alone. There's nothing noble or impressive about the fact that it took you 5 years to figure out what we already know how to do, right? There's nothing impressive about that. I teach my children that all the time. Don't try to figure it out if I know how to do it. Now, I'm going to teach you how to do it. I'm going to explain to you why we do it the way we do it and how you're going to benefit by doing it this way. I might even expose you to other ways of doing it, right? But never, ever do it alone. So I would say get a coach, but get the right business coach. Make sure they can help you do the things that you need to do. Go take training, do LinkedIn learning. There's a lot of good things in there, right? Take as many courses. I do at least one a month for myself, at least for me, for my personal development, so that I'm doing something to help my business grow. The one I do once a month, at least once a month, I do virtually. Every 2 months, I do at least one in person. So I have people, other human beings that are doing things that I can talk to. So I would say don't do it alone. Do training, get a good coach, a coach that can help you, make sure that you're clear about what you have, excuse me, what you have, the value of what you have, and not your perception of the value, your potential clients, your prospects' perception of the value. In fact, I got to throw this in. I do not believe in what are called UVPs, I think universal value propositions. We don't teach that at all. We don't teach anything. If you have a written value proposition, you have not thought about each individual prospect as an individual, because they're not all the same. They don't all need, it's not, you're not selling toilet paper, you're selling your services. You need to know what they need. What I do believe in is crafting a unique value proposition. I'll call it a UVP, but it's not universal and it's not unique to me. If I'm going to talk to Jasmine about how I can help her, I need to listen a lot to find out exactly what she needs and then determine, number one, am I the person to help her? And if the answer to that is yeah, I think I am the person to help her, then I need to figure out what the value of my services are for you, not what they were for Deb, not what they were for Mary, not what they were for Bob and Dick. No, it doesn't matter what the value was for them. What's the value for that person? And I would say that's why I say get someone. And I call my sister and my business partners my intellectual thinking partners.
I like that.
They're my intellectual thinking partners.
Yeah.
Get an intellectual thinking partner, but don't get somebody where you guys are going to get so excited about all the thinking that you're doing that you never get to an answer.
Right.
Right? Don't do that. Don't spend months or years trying to figure out what other people have already figured out.
Yeah.
I would say that's my biggest advice. Don't do it alone.
I think that is great advice because, we always hear about how lonely entrepreneurship is,
Yes.
right? But it doesn't have to be, right? I run my business alone, but I'm always collaborating with other people. Like the podcast is one way that I always collaborate and I learn from everyone I bring on the
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah.
You're not coming on the podcast if I can't learn from you, right? Like what's the point?
Yeah.
So I learn from everybody that I bring on the podcast and then other things that I do. Like I'm always collaborating and trying to learn from people. I'm a lifelong learner. Like you were
Me
saying, I
too.
learn from
Yes.
podcasts, I learn from people, I just try to learn. I'm a reader too. I love to read. So I'm
Yes.
always reading something. That's just, I think everybody should be a lifelong learner. Why does your learning ever stop? Like that doesn't make sense to me. But
It doesn't.
that's just my opinion.
I love that you said you are an entrepreneur, but you don't work alone.
Never. I try not to.
I love that. I think that kind of you said it better than I did in answer to your question.
I think I just kind of wrapped it in one
Yes.
like that, like what you were saying. That's what I got from it, and that's already
Yes.
what I do. But I want to do it more. I definitely want to do like more trainings and things like that. Right now I'm just in like collaboration, like how can we
Yes.
help each other, but I do want to do more of like just learning. Like I don't have, not that I don't have much to give you because I have a lot to give, but like in a
Yes.
position where like I don't have to give you, I'm
Yes.
just able to learn from you.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you
Yeah.
so much for this conversation. I do have one more question for you. So my question is about the insightful questions. We were
Yes.
talking a little bit before we started recording about people always hear about open-ended questions,
Yeah.
right? Those are the type of questions that we should be
Yeah.
asking. But no, you take it a step further and
Uh-huh.
we're talking about insightful questions that really
Yeah.
spark thought and memory and all of that stuff.
Yes.
So please, if you could explain it, the three different
Yeah.
questions and
Yeah.
yes, please.
Yeah, they're we call them in at P31, we refer to them as insightful questions. They're also referred by other people as high gain questions. When I first learned the concept, it was a very long time ago, and when I learned it, it was called a high gain question. And then one of our colleagues, we were teaching it one day, and he said, "I think it brings insight. Let's call them insightful questions." So we do that. So here's the way it works. Here's basically, so for those of you who are listening, play along and you'll get an experience with it. I'm going to ask you 3 questions and I just want you to answer them instantly. I don't want you to think about them. Just say it right as quickly as you can.
Mhm.
Have you taken a vacation in the last 10 years?
Yes.
Where did you, that was the first one that was closed, right? Yes or no?
Right.
Next question. Where did you go on your last vacation?
Jamaica.
Okay, that was open because there was possibilities, right? Now, here's the third question. Of all of the activities you did on your Jamaican trip, which of those was the most thrilling?
Mm,
So you see, you
probably.
didn't do what I asked you to do. I said
Yeah, no,
ask
I
you
had to think about
right,
it.
right. Now, here's let me explain why you couldn't answer me instantly. There's a little neuroscience in what I did with you here. What I did, and you did exactly what your brain's supposed to do. Your eyes went up and looked to the right, which is
Yeah.
what we do when we're thinking and processing, right? What I did is I asked you a question that forced you to create a list, prioritize the list, and then make a choice from the top of the list.
Mm.
In one question, I engaged all the different parts of your brain that you needed to do that. And the reason you couldn't answer me instantly is because your brain can't, for most people, I have had some people's brains who work really fast and get to it, or they only did one thing that they liked. That's what they tell me, right? That third type of question is what we call an insightful question. Why? It We are learning something insightful about the person that we spoke to. And when they answer the question, let's say you answered it, what would your answer have been?
I was still thinking. Probably I was gonna say we took a boat ride, so that
Uh-huh.
was really fun.
Okay, now what have I earned permission to ask you now?
About the boat ride.
What would that question be that I would ask you? I said, of
Um,
all the things that you did, which
yeah.
was most thrilling? And then you say, I went on a boat ride. Now,
Or
what
you
have
could ask what was like the least thrilling thing
you
that I've
can.
done.
That's also an insightful question. Once you answer
Mm.
it, though, I have earned permission to ask you why.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Because I can say, of all the things you did, the boat ride was most exciting. Why was that?
Right.
Why did you choose that? And then you start to tell me about the other things that were on the list. Well, we also did this and that was fun, but this was more exciting. See what now I've done?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
It's much more insightful for me, and it's insightful for you because you haven't thought about it. Um, I do teach that. We teach that in one of our actually several of our programs, but we teach it as a good question to use in business. If you want to understand what's going on in your prospect's mind, and let's say they're hiring you to potentially help them fix a problem, I might say to them, how long has this problem been going on? Oh, it's been going on for about 6 months. Have you done anything to try to fix it yet? Just curious. Yeah, we have. Of all the things that you've done, which has yielded the results that you need? Well, the reason we have you here is because nothing's really working. No, well, nothing's worked. Well, what did you do that didn't work? I was kind of, then they talked to me some more. That was an insightful question. Of all the things that you've done, tell me which ones didn't work and why, right? That's an insightful question. And then I have earned permission to engage with you at a different level of relationship. And not everybody wants to tell us their why because we're all very protective of our whys. Can be very personal, right? So I can't come out the gate saying, why didn't that work? I heard you did this. Tell me why it didn't work. They'll be like, wait a second.
Yeah, people get defensive really quickly.
Right?
So
They,
yeah.
they do. And that's why this is what I mean. I think in everything we do, we need to learn how to communicate. But if you want to be effective in consulting or selling your services, whatever word you want to call it, I call it when you sell your services to someone else or to another company. I call that a form of consulting. If you want to be successful in selling your services or getting other people to buy your services, and even better, my language, how do I get other people to invest in me to help them? I don't like selling. I don't like that word. If you want to help people to make a really good decision, and my job is to help my prospects make good buying decisions for themselves, not for me, for themselves. If you want to do that, you have to learn how to engage people in a way that you get the information that enables you to help them make a good buying decision. But if you bore them with a series of questions that seem to be going nowhere, they feel like
Mhm.
you're interviewing them,
Mhm.
you're not getting anywhere. They're getting frustrated and they're wondering, why are you asking me this? Right? So it's all about communication and how we do it. And that's why I
Yeah.
love the insightful questions.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I just learned so much because I'm just thinking of when I speak to potential clients, some of them are so easy, some people
Yes.
are very open and they want to tell you all of these things, right? And some people are a little harder. You got to, get your crowbar and like pry them open, right? So these insightful questions will absolutely help with those ones who are,
Mhm.
a little more standoffish and don't necessarily want to answer the question, or are just maybe wondering like, why is she asking me this?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
Like, what are you asking me?
Yeah, like get to the point. And I
Yeah.
know I totally get that as a client myself, right? Get to the point, right?
Where are
So
we going with
yeah,
this conversation? And that,
yes.
it's easy to address that. You just set that up. People don't set it up.
Mm,
With In order to help me understand more about exactly what you need and why you
right.
need it, and to make sure I don't waste your time and I only provide you with information that you need to make a good buying decision for you, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Set it up.
Yeah.
Just set
It
it up.
seems so simple, but it's
It's
like
not,
light bulb.
it
Duh.
it seems simple, but it's really hard to get the right language. I'm
Yeah.
practiced, I'm rehearsed. I
Yeah.
think about this all the time. I hear people do it and I try different ways and I teach different ways because it doesn't all the language I just threw out doesn't work for everybody.
Mhm.
And I don't teach anyone that this is the way to say it. I would get to know Jasmine and I would get to know what kind of language do you use in your conversations? What kind of verbs and adjectives and what kind of examples, what kind of analogies do you use? Then we work on your language. We work on your language so that you can have the same effect, right? It's about you being uniquely you so that you can show up for your clients and allow them to stay uniquely who they are and be treated like that.
I really love that because it really is like a tailored experience. It's tailored to
Yes.
me as a business, as an entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
And it's tailored towards each client. Like that is
It
you
is
don't
isn't
get
that
that.
different? Isn't that
You
it's different, and
Yes, oh my gosh.
it's I discovered this through a coach I had about 20 years ago. I was actually over 20 years ago. Woo. He I was invited by a corporation to teach his course because he wasn't available to teach his own course. And they said they invited 3 of us and they said he's not available. His course is getting very successful and it's going all over the place. He can't do this. He's asked us to identify 3 people who can help him. And that's how I met him. And he started teaching me these things. And I was like, where have you been all of my life?
Right.
I've been doing this whole
That's how
thing.
I'm feeling about you right now.
Yeah. Like where did but he was so strict in my training. Oh, he he was if we didn't teach his approach and his framework exactly the way he wanted it, he was like, no, you are not going to misrepresent me. That's not what I said. That's not how it works. So I learned from him and he helped me. And actually the framework we teach, we call the P31 win strategy framework. He basically gave us worldwide global rights to what his framework years ago. And he said, do with it what you want, because you all have already made it better. And so
Wow.
we've been modifying it. And it's just amazing. His whole concept, and I use my own language when I talk to you about you be uniquely you and let them be uniquely. That's not the language he used, but that's what I learned. And that's the language I use. In fact, the one thing I wanted to share with you is that I am putting together, I have a wait list that I've started. If any of your listeners are interested, I'm doing a retreat. I'm going to do a 3-day retreat. And I want to bring together women of color, Black and Brown women, and it's called the I Am the Only Retreat, because I want people to get clear and get clarity on what distinguishes them. Stop talking differentiation, stop looking at your competition. We'll look at them, but you don't compare yourself to them, right? But I want them to be clear about what is it that only they can do, that nobody else on the planet can do. And if their prospects and potential clients don't buy from them, their clients, they won't get where they need to be. I think we all, I know what mine are. I can spit them out for my company and I can spit them out for myself. Not everybody can do that. So if anybody's interested, you can DM me via the YouTube Tish and Wendy channel. You can DM me via the Instagram Tish and Wendy channel. And Wendy spelled Wendy. They can DM me through the Facebook Tish and Wendy channel. They can just DM me and I will tell you how you can get on the wait list. But I've designed it, it's already designed. We're just trying to find a date. Wendy and I are going to do this. It's designed so that it's relaxing. It's going to not just be about business structure, it's going to be about mindset, about how we build that confidence you were talking about, not arrogance, not ego, right? Not pompousness. How do we get so grounded and so clear in what only we can do for the world that we show up that way?
Mm.
And people go, how can I get some of that? Yeah, I
Yes.
want some of that. How do I get?
I'm going to be DMing you for sure. And I will put all of the links in the show notes so that you guys can have Tish's information. That sounds amazing. And it's
That's
definitely needed. We need that.
Yes,
Yes.
it's going to be small. It's going to be exclusive. I've already got a few spots taken from people who are in our coaching program. So we're going to do it. If it goes well, we'll do another one, but it's going to be
Mm.
small and exclusive. And then if anybody's just interested in coaching, not
Yes.
just, if you're interested in how I can help you coach you as you're developing your business, I will say what I specialize in is helping people learn how to help people buy their services. So I assume you've got the prospects. I assume you know how to find the potential clients and customers. I assume you can get that first call. If you can get the first call, I can teach you how to close it. But close it in the way you and I, Jasmine, were just talking about. Don't just sell your stuff to sell it. Don't sell it to everybody. It's not for everybody. But I will show you how to close it when it's for you and when it's for them. You should close 100% of the time, not half of the time, not 20% of the time. You should be getting 100% yeses, or you're missing something. And that's what I'll help you identify. What did you miss? So if my general coaching program is open too.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
how do people reach you the same way for the general
Yep.
coaching? Just
Yep.
DM you at okay. So yeah,
They
I'm
can do
definitely going
me.
to drop all the links. Don't worry. Don't worry. I will drop all the links in the show
Yeah.
notes, listeners. Don't
Mm,
worry. They will be there because
yeah.
I already know, Tish, this conversation alone has been amazing. Your content on the YouTube channel is really, really great. It's fantastic. So I can imagine like people listen to this episode and they're like, yeah, I got to work with Tish right now. So, so absolutely, I will
Thank
drop the
you.
links. Is there anything else you want to share?
I think what I'd like to conclude with is just expressing my thanks to the team of people I work with, as a way to model the way this is supposed to work. First, I thank you, Jasmine, for having me here with you to have this conversation. I don't feel like I'm on a podcast. I feel like you and I are we're just having great conversation,
Yes.
right? You're asking me things, some things I've thought about, some things I hadn't, and I just love the free flowing. So I thank you first. I also thank my sister and my business partner, Wendy Ellis Green. We've been in business over 20 years together. Some sisters don't even talk for 20 years, right?
No.
Some people tell us all the time, "Oh my God, how have you been in business 20 years together?" I can't even be in the same room with my sister after Thanksgiving dinner. I'm
Uh-huh.
glad we go our separate ways, right? There are ways to do it. There are ways to do it. And when you hear yourself saying, "I could never do that," that has already gotten in the way. It's already in the way. So I want to shout out to my sister and then my other sister, Melanie Ellis Nelson, and my brother, Benjamin Ellis, because without them and their support and their love, and my dad, who's still with us, my mom went on to be with the Lord, my father, Benjamin Ellis, my family, my children, who I've already mentioned, I have extended family. You know how we do.
Oh, yes. Oh,
I'm an auntie
absolutely.
to a lot of
Yes.
people, right? I have lots of sons and I have lots of daughters, and all of those people, Anthony and Clifton and my cousins, and all of these people have helped me to shape me who I am. Because if it's like I'm not just Tish at work. The Tish at work formed because of all these other people in my life who spoke life into me, who encouraged me, and who allow me to speak life into them and encourage them. And I really wanted to wrap up by just calling them out. Ian, our UK guy, and Mafe, our Latin American person, and Anne, our person in Canada. I have so many people I could thank, right? But I want to end by saying thank you, because gratitude and being thankful and being willing to name those people and put those people out there doesn't just help me, it helps them. When the people like Coy and Joy and John, and I'm throwing other names out, when they hear this episode, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, you mentioned me. Yes, because I'm thinking about you. I'm actually thinking of 100 people right now, and I can't say all their names, but I want to encourage your listeners, take a few moments just to say thank you to someone, not an empty thank you, not like, thank you so much, that was so
Right.
great. You know what I'm saying? Look them straight in their eyes,
Yeah.
hold their hands if you need to, if that makes it, I don't know how bros do it. Shake hands, fist bump,
Head nod.
yes, head nod, yeah, yeah. Give them an authentic thank you, because you never know how much that changes their life. I don't know how much you need to hear me say thank you today. I don't know what you may have been dealing with before we came on right now, right? And for me to say how much I appreciate you and you investing this time in me, with me, and having a conversation with me and letting me go long sometimes and, go short sometimes. And sometimes I went too short and you're like, come on, come on. I appreciate it. And I don't want us to forget the importance of not just having gratitude that we go to bed at night and write in our gratitude journals, which I don't have. I just say, thank you, Lord, for all these people. We need to tell the people who we've learned from how much we appreciate them. And so that's how I'd like to end it, by just saying thank you to all the people who helped shape me early in my career, late in my career. And I thank you, future folks, for the future of my career. I'm not done. I'm not done.
That was a mic drop moment. I love how you ended that. You're so right. We always hear about gratitude and making sure you feel grateful for these things, right? But how about share that?
Yes.
Share that with the people that you are grateful for and you are
Yeah.
thankful for. Oh, I love that. Was
Mm.
another light bulb moment, another gem you dropped. I'm really grateful to you for this conversation, for taking the time. I can imagine how busy you are, being an entrepreneur and a mom and with all the things that you got going on. So, the fact that you reached out to me to have a conversation about this, a conversation that is much needed, that I believe, everybody needs to hear, especially women of color entrepreneurs.
Mm.
I feel so grateful to you. So thank you, Tish, for
You're
taking the
welcome.
time, for thinking about me, for reaching out, for listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
All of that. I am absolutely grateful.